Hello and welcome. In today's video, I want to show you how to add students to your teacher account. So in a previous video, I showed you that you can register your students while you're sending them our placement test. And we always recommend when you've got a new student on the system that you start by sending them our placement test. But we can also add students onto our accounts outside of sending them the placement test. And so this would be relevant if you wanted to add a student and register a student, start teaching a student on your account, but you didn't actually want to send them a placement test. So right now I'm on this yellow student management tab, and I can see all the students that I have registered to my account. I can see up here that it says your students 10 out of 15. That means I have 10 active students out of a capacity on my subscription for 15 active students. And so the brightly colored avatars and pictures here are my active students, and the faded ones are inactive. We're going to show you about activating and deactivating students in a later video, but just for now, all you need to know is that when you're actively teaching a student on Off to Class, they should be set to active, and when they're active, they'll take up some of your student quota. So up here next to the dashboard, you'll see that I can add students. So I'm going to press on add students, and here I can fill out my student details to register a student onto my account. I give them, when we tell you next to each detail, just a little bit about what we require. So I can set a nickname. So this is internal for me to keep track of who this student is. My new student's name, for example, is Andy. So I'm going to set the nickname as Andy, and that's going to tell me that this is Andy's profile. I'm going to set an email address for Andy. So this is the email address that Andy will use to log into the site. If your student doesn't have an email address, or if you don't have your student's email address, you can put in a fake email address, the dummy email address. That's no problem. What that's going to do is that it's going to allow your student to log into the site, but obviously then your student wouldn't be able to receive any email notifications that you have enabled on your account. Then we ask you to set a password. Usually what I'd suggest is to set the same password for each student, just so you can keep it straight. Then we ask you if you want to set the student interface language. So if you're not sure of your student's ability and level of English, you can actually translate Off to Class the buttons, the controls, the emails, the warning messages to your student's native language. So I could actually set, if I know my student Andy is German, but I'm not sure if he has enough English web literacy to access Off to Class in English, I can just, to be safe, set him to German. And then we ask you if you want to send a copy of the credentials, if you want us to send a copy of the credentials automatically to your student. So if I check yes, when I press add student, Andy will actually get an email saying, here's your information to log into Off to Class. But we also send you that information. So whether or not you check yes or no here, when you press add student, we're going to send you a copy of the login information for Andy to access Off to Class. And then you can forward that email to your student. You can personalize it. It also has some instructions on how to access Off to Class. So it's just a really convenient way of then disseminating that information to your student and explaining to your student how they can access their account that you've set up for them. Thanks for watching.